Let's just stay on Ridgeway for a second. So he's trying to set you up for these paintings. He's obviously had someone he's going to sell them to.
Aye.
The thing gets in the newspaper about which blackens your name.
Aye.
So what's Ridgway's real motivation here? Was he just trying to make a few quid out of some paintings, or because you suspect he's a low-level spook?
Well, we think he's a low-level spook. Yes.
Right.
The other thing is that, if I can get this right, while we're waiting for this trial, we were warned never to go near him, and if we touched him or went near him, the court's telling us all this. You see.
So you think he's some kind of operative?
I know he's an operative. He was an operative.
One night we're coming back to our house about 8 in the evening, and his car's outside the house. So we immediately got the phone booth and phoned the police and said, look, you better send someone, to we're not supposed to touch this guy. Right? And the sergeant and the constable came along and they said, saw the car. So they phoned somebody, and a detective comes along. What are we going to do? And we heard, he's our witness. So they refused to arrest him. He's inside the house. He drove off with 1,500 quid's worth of our gear, aided by the cops.
Right. Now,
it's that bad down there.
Now, this could link into something which has happened recently, because Baram alleges that Ridgway once showed him an incendiary device.
Yes, he did. Well, he did. He showed me.
And what? And he let it off?
No, well, I didn't see him let it off. No, but he did show me that he had it.
Right. So this was in what? This was in early 90s.
His father worked for MI5, but as a technician.
Right.
And he frequently alluded to the fact his father made explosive under the devices.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you about that. He also claimed that a building in Bournemouth was burned down with such a device.
Right.
And he had photographs of it before and after, and him sitting inside it. And
and he was also involved in insurance claims as well.
Yeah, well, when we were in Hove, we were walking down the street one day, and the car drove up, beep, 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 and it's him in Ridgeway. Well, I wasn't too fussy on talking with him, but I've always taken the view of find out what you can, use this and not that, And so he invited us for a drink, so we went in to have a drink with him. It's a sunny afternoon, and he then said, I'm working for insurance companies, checking on Brighton hotels. And I thought, it's a bit odd. And he said, the Palace Royal, I think it is. I read the big hotel, the first one ever built there, right on Brighton Pier, built in the time of the Prince Regent, right? Well, the trouble with the place is, I'd been in talk to the assistant manager one afternoon, and he told me the place was in total terminal decline because they couldn't alter or change anything or modernize anything because it was a listed building. So anyway, he then says that this place is it's a fire trap, it's a disaster, it's a disaster. So he walked out, I think he went to the toilet. I said, he's going to burn the place down.
Right.
You reckon? I said, no, no, about insurance, he's going to burn it down. No, we went to Bristol for the court case, and I was on the 3rd floor of this place, and I put the TV on, and there's this building on fire at 6 in the evening. And I ran downstairs to him, I said, put your TV on.
Now, this guy goes under various different aliases, doesn't he?
We later found out. At first, we thought he was a good guy. At first, we thought he's all right, a good guy. But we found that he had about 10 names.
Right.
Richard Allen, Mr. Allen, Allen.
I wrote some of them down.
Mr. Thompson. He's got an Irish name as well. His Irish name is Liam Green or Leonard Green.
Right. Yeah.
He's got a passport under that from Ireland.
Right.
He's on Ridgeway, he's Mr. Thompson, he's Mr. Max something.
So I've got Ronald Allen Francis Ridgway, Richard Allen, Leonard Francis Green, Liam Green, Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson.
He's 5'8" with dark curly hair, he's got a public school accent, and he's in his late 50s, early 60s.
What had happened when I was charged with the offence, you see, my solicitor was cute, a young guy. He canvassed all the courts of the UK. Quite simply asking if a person of these names was, in trouble. And there were 14 bench warrants out for him. He's fleeing from one place to the other.
Right. So, but do you think he's got some kind of immunity?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So he's, as you say, could be just a low-level spook who was able to get off through whatever connection.
Yeah, he was on trial in Cardiff then for obtaining goods for £7,200,
Right.
not paying. And
So-
they started a trial in the morning, and they let him go out for lunch.
Right.
Let him go out for lunch,
Yeah.
and he didn't come back.
Right. So, I mean, do you know where he is now?
No.
So, is he, right, you haven't got a clue. Is he alive?
The last I know of him, after the affair with the hotel in Brighton, he then had an expensive flat on the marina. He bought himself a boat that he never used. He had a brand new car,
Right.
so he was doing well. And we used to keep inquiring about him. We knew where to ask, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen him since.
Okay.
I don't know if he's alive or dead.
Right, all right. Now, I want to ask you about, a little bit later now, still in the sort of early mid-90s, Detective Sergeant Allinson,
Oh, yeah.
who had a warrant to search your house.
Yeah,
This is in Cardiff.
in Cardiff.
So tell us about that.
I'm walking back across the big park, and stream on that side, road on that side, and our house is in one of the streets off it. Big park, stream, road, our house is off it. I'm walking across the park in this direction to a bridge to go across the stream. Baram's coming this way. I see him in the distance. I'm not on my eyes right, I can actually see. He's waving to me, so we met. There's a guy coming behind me shouting, "Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wilson." I don't know who the hell he is, so I don't forget it. And he said, "Look, I see the streets now." He said, "There's a stack of police cars and vans in the street." I said, "Oh." This guy catches up with him. He introduces himself as Detective Constable. Well, we've got his name, any Detective Constable. "We have a warrant to search your house." I said, "What for?" He said, "You've burgled St. Peter's Church and removed the casket." I said, "Well, we own St. Peter's Church." I said, "So if there's a casket there, it belongs to us," which it is there, it belongs to us. I said, "You can't burgle your own property, you can't steal it yourself."
Yeah.
And he's white as a sheet straight away. So the fellow in the car waving and shouting, so he's drawing the car up. We get to the street, and there's Detective Sergeant Allinson, another Detective Sergeant, this Detective Constable, and 12 members of the Armed Response Squad in a little street of 13 houses.
Right.
6 streets, big houses, mind, but 7 one side, 6 the other. So he's got a warrant to search my premises. Now, the house was in 2 flats, so he can search the downstairs, but he can't search the upstairs. So I said, "Look, you're wasting your time. We own St. Peter's Church." He said, "You can't prove that." "Yes, I can." I said, "You can see the deeds. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a photocopy of the deeds."
Right.
"Oh." He said, "Well, you removed the casket." I said, "Well, A, we haven't removed anything. B, if we did, it would belong to us. You can't prove that." He said. I said, "Well, what the hell am I talking about?" He insists on searching the house. Now, if you're looking for a casket, 4 foot, which is 2 foot by 2 foot by 18 inches, am I talking about? Was it meters?
So was there
65 centimeters.
Was there a casket, Alan?
I mean, you don't need 15 officers to search a bloody house.
No. But was there a casket?
No. It's still buried in the church. It's still where it should be.
All right. So it's underground.
Yeah, I know.
How do you know it's there then?
Well, you can easily probe down. You can easily find it's there. So if you put a foot
All
underneath.
right. So you have had this thing out.
Oh yeah, it's still there. I've never taken it out. We know it's there.
Right.
You can put something. Oh, tap, tap, tap. It's there.
Right. And what's inside it?
A lot of bones from the 6th century, like, you know.
Right.
We gathered all the bones after the excavation, put them in the oak casket, and then buried there. The priest made a service, like, you know.
So
I gave them a copy of the deeds.
Right. So did they then come in and search the
They
property?
they were looking in under carpets, inside mugs and drawers, 2 foot by 2 foot, by 8-inch box.
Right.
And so what's that, 2 foot? It's about 65, 70 centimetres by about.
Right. So why such a heavy-handed visit by South Wales Police? What's going on there? What?
Well, firstly, it gets the whole neighbourhood watching, and it gives me bad publicity of that sort.
Right.
Secondly, I can't explain their mind. You see, they love drama, I would think. The Cardiff, 12 constables were drawn from Cardiff, from the Armed Response Squad. The 2 police sergeants, detective sergeants and detective constable, were from Pontypridd. And they borrowed the others to help search the house. Well, they're not looking for a bloody big casket, are they, if they're going to search? You know, there was some panelling on the wall. They were trying to look behind panelling on the wall and in drawers. And
So were they looking for the cross, do you think, as well, or not?
We think so, yes.
Right.
Anything like that, yes.
So, did you take any action against the police for this?
I attempted to.
Alan Wilson asserts that in the stolen paintings case and in the police raid case, they were set up with police complicity. Legal action was taken against the police, and in both cases, the barrister used the same lie in order to get their legal aid terminated.
I couldn't get anybody to act for me locally. They were all scared of the police. I finally got a solicitor up in the East End of London to act, and she put it to this barrister, Holland, and she asked him for how to go about how the case should be conducted.
Right.
We got to see Holland, and he said, open up, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but you shouldn't be taking the chief constable to court. You should take all the officers individually. Well, I said, that's rubbish. You don't do that.
Right.
And then he said, actually, there's been an article in the Times, and the law has been changed in the last 2 weeks, and what was previously in your favour is now no longer in your favour, and that sort of thing. You know? Anyway, so we had discussed it with him. We went off to the Times office afterwards. The law hadn't been changed. There's no notice in the Times. He'd lied.
So you think you were getting duff legal advice that your own representative was...
The solicitor was outraged in a sense, but she couldn't do much about it.
Right.
He's the barrister.
Right.
So we then attempted to take Holland to court. My colleague did, and one of us went in, one stayed out, and 7 times a judge said, this is a case to answer, it goes to court. And 7 times they appealed, they went to a deputy judge, a barrister standing because there's no judge available, who said there's no case. Can you believe this?
So you wanted to get out of Cardiff.
We had to.
You had to get out, and in sort of 97, I think it was, or 1997, you sold up.
Aye. And
you moved to Hove.
Well, we thought that we wanted to get somewhere near the British Library, British Museum, and all publishers and things like that. Adrian Gilbert, who we had association with, was in Kent. I had Phil Brown was in London. Hassel with the machine was in London. So were others in London. We saw London as being a possible place of getting TV or radio contacts, that sort of thing. But we didn't want to live in London.
Right. Okay.
Plus the fact it was lovely seaside. It's the best of the places along there.
Round about that time, as you said, you were associating, or you wrote a book with Adrian Gilbert called The Holy Kingdom.
That's right. The book was now announced to be done, and it was going to be done, right? And there was a budget for it, right, for publicity. Well, then, as it was, you could say, it being done, all in the press, a letter was sent, and it was sent to every... there are 3 centres really to hit. One was the Midlands, King Arthur, the other is King Arthur in South Wales, and the rest is London, right? So every major newspaper in the Birmingham area, Cardiff area, and London, every radio station, every TV station had a letter. All the big publishing houses had the same letter. All the book warehousing people, and W.H. Smith and the Waterstones, they all had letters. Same letter.
Have you got a copy of this letter?
Yes, we do.
So
and
let me have a copy of that. Yeah.
It alleged that Mr. McGregor had been investigating us, and he doorstepped Eric Talbot, the number one archaeologist on our dig at St. Peter's. It alleged A, I had not paid the archaeologists.
Right.
B, I had stolen 7,000 quid of dig funds. C, the Charities Commission were investigating me, and D, I was being investigated by Scotland Yard, London Police Station.
Right.
Well, first, A, we funded the dig, so I'd stolen £7,000 of my own money,
right,
which is ridiculous. The archaeologists were both paid and signed affidavits to the effect that they were paid, and that's not a question. We made sure of that. I'm not at any part of a charity in my life. We're not one, so the Charities Commission got nothing to do with it. And I went up to London to see the police, and they had a good laugh and gave me a cup of tea. They said, it's bloody nonsense.
Right, so this letter had done an awful lot of damage, being sent to all of these different organisations.
Yeah, that's right. It was written by a man named Ian McGregor.
Right.
Who had been trying to get £35,000 from an organisation we discovered to write a book on false accountancy or something, you know.
Right.
That's all we could find. When we tracked him down, we had to chase it. We're pretty good at this. We found he was living in Edinburgh, and his sister had a council flat. He had no home. He was living with his sister in a council flat in Edinburgh,
right.
Unemployed.
Right.
So someone used him as a front man.
So if you'd sued him for libel, he's got no money.
He's got no money. He's got nothing.
So
he's a man of straws. They call it man of straw.
Right. So it's possible he's been bunged something to do that.
Oh yeah, he claimed that he'd gone to Penrith and the places and he doorstepped and knocked the door of Eric Talbot. Talbot never heard of him.
So the Holy Kingdom was published in 1998. They never had a single review.
Right.
The book never had a single review in any mainstream newspaper, and yet sold over 22,000 hardcover copies in England alone.
Right.
And it was translated to various countries, including Holland, Italy. And it was a version of it in the USA and other countries. I think it's South Africa. I'm not sure on that one. But the point is, obviously, there's a venal conspiracy against it. I mean, people who write the most trivial books on budgetary gods or cooking or something would get a elementary courtesy sort of review on the book.
Yes.
We never got a single review, which indicates the deep sort of determined efforts to stop this research. So since 1998 I lost heart, and since certainly in 2000 I've made was basically been a minder.
The publishers, then there was a large 3-page, 2-page spread in one of the Sunday papers. I don't know if it was the Sunday Telegraph, it wasn't the Sunday Times maybe. And a director of the company, Bantam Press, had a sort of a strange weekend. He'd woken up and been reading this book on a Friday, and he'd woken up Saturday morning and realised this was a bestseller. It was called The Lazarus Child.
Right.
Little girl in hospital, dying of disease. They're trying to bring her back to life, save her.
Right.
And so he made an offer he rang up, what you never do, you usually wait a 5-day week, like, to the agent who's acting for this author, and made a substantial offer. The agent came back to him that afternoon and said, we've had a better offer from someone else. So he then makes another frantic offer late that afternoon, and the agent came back to him on the Sunday morning and said, sorry, we've got an even better offer from the other side. Every time you make us offer, of course, those silly buggers don't know whether there's a counter offer, does he? And this goes on, and so on the Sunday afternoon, he finally makes an offer of $425,000, huge sum of money, for the rights of this bestseller book. And they got The Lazarus Child. Then they spent Monday. He frantically had to tell his colleagues what he'd done in his rush. He's writing all this in the press.
Right. So what you're saying is that there was the same publishing company published another book, and they wasted all of their money promoting that book.
That's right.
Right. So they had no money left
it
over.
Was a
they needed an excuse as to why they didn't have any money to promote your book.
He's taken a chance and put some money in.
So what's Adrian Gilbert's comments on this? What seems to be obfuscation? Have you spoken
He knows
to him?
all about it.
He knows all about it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
he came back to me and he wants to know if we could get the rights of the Holy Kingdom and republish it again in our own under our own steam. He thinks it's still a bestseller. It was mishandled by Bantam, totally. It was totally mishandled. We've written to him now and said, look, I've been having people come to me. There was a lot of bad feeling between us, that we don't like his name big and us small. You know, that's wrong.
Yeah, I know.
That caused murder.
Yeah.
So I've put it to him that these books are necessarily big books, because they have to be, because we've got to prove it. We can't just write about King Richard. We've got to prove there was a King Richard. And, you know, we've got to prove he did go on a crusade.
Yeah.
So, but a boiled down version for the man in the street, you might say, easy read, would be advantageous. No, he's very good at that. So we've suggested that we consider doing that. Right.